Hey ladies, welcome back to the Master Menopause Metabolism Podcast. Today we're diving into something every midlife woman needs to hear, especially if she's been doing all the right things, eating clean, working out, maybe even cutting calories, and still stuck. Let's be honest, it's not your calories in, calories out anymore. It is your hormones. Today I'm going to break down the 5 biggest hormone disruptors that are keeping midlife women stuck and belly fat, burnout, mood swings, and I'll give you some simple steps to start balancing each of them so that you can get rid of your belly fat. And listen, if you want my full cheat sheet on how to balance the hormones, just DM me and I will, if you put in the word balance on Instagram, I'm going to send it right over, or on Facebook. So here is, let's dive right in. So basically, we're busting through the myths that keep midlife women stuck in a hormonal hamster wheel. Quick, if you're struggling with belly fat, exhaustion, cravings, mood swings, this one is going to be for you. So be sure to tune in. Stick around for a simple action step, for each hormone, and just DM me balance when you're ready for the full guide. But excited to get into this. So the 5 hormones and symptoms, okay? So we're going to break it down clearly. I'm going to give you, basically a symptom people feel, and it is the one cortisol, your stress hormone. We hear a lot about that, and I think there's a lot of fear mongering and even some misgivings, if you will. So I kind of want to get in and shed light on that. But the symptom, so always, you're going to notice I'm talking about things like belly fat as a symptom, because when you get belly fat, it doesn't necessarily mean it's as simple as you're eating more, moving less, and you're gaining belly fat. So what that can be is a symptom of cortisol issues. Also that wired yet tired feeling, and any kind of sleep issues. And when I mention sleep issues, I mean you are, going to bed, falling asleep pretty well, but then you're waking up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and you can't go back to sleep. This is a classic cortisol issue, because we know that cortisol, which is it's actually good for your body. You need it to be alive and do things. You don't want to be without it. If it rises too early, your body's going to wake up at the wrong time. The myth, though, is that you just need more cardio to get rid of the belly fat, and it's actually the wrong thing, because it makes more stress on the body and can actually dysregulate this hormone and make it worse, especially for somebody who's at that tipping point where cortisol has been really high for a long time and it's about to kind of shut down. And to be honest, I am seeing women more, that is the story. They have eaten really low calorie for a really long time. Then they go through perimenopause, and then their bodies basically are shutting down, and that cortisol has been high for a long time, but then it just stops working. So they have like this burnout, if you will. It's very common. It's called the HP axis. And it's something we work on all the time. But, we all fall into it. We think, what, if I just biked more, if I just walked more, if I just did more, I would see better results. And it actually makes things worse. And it's kind of like that constant busyness or no downtime. If you find that you are that busy professional who's constantly on and running to the next thing, I'll tell you, it really is going to mess with your cortisol. And then the next thing happening is our perimenopause, where we talked about last time, in the podcast, where estrogen becomes dominant because either it's not detoxing correctly or the progesterone has gone drastically down. And so then that creates this estrogen dominance. And then estrogen starts to become erratic and goes away, and then suddenly your body does not have the tools in the toolbox anymore to deal with stress. Because if you remember, estrogen is our extroverted sister, whereas progesterone is our introverted. And so that's more protective and internal, the progesterone, and the estrogen is the one that kind of gets out there and deals with stress, and we can eat more carbs and all those things when you have it, but when you don't, belly fat kind of starts piling on. So that is, all about the cortisol. And like I said, more often than not, I meet women who are no longer producing the correct amount of cortisol, or it's rising too soon, so it's disrupting their sleep and their life. So insulin, this is your fat storing hormone. So the symptoms you're going to get if you have insulin that's out of whack also is belly fat, so that's why it's usually one of the first questions I'm going to ask is like, do you want to lose weight? Okay, how much weight? And then what areas have you noticed the weight is coming onto more so now than before? And if it is belly fat, then that becomes a symptom in my mind of a hormone issue. It also, if somebody says they have a lot of cravings, I also then wonder, okay, yeah, like when our blood sugar drops or when our insulin is not quite right, that is going to be it also like, okay, probably there's an insulin issue. Or if they have big energy crashes, and that's another big indication. Like if they say, I get really tired after meals, or I get tired and in the mid-afternoon, like more so, like I have a really hard time, or after dinner, then I kind of know that there's something going on, and that is your fat storing hormone. And so one of the action steps, for cortisol, like I don't think I talked about this, was sleep plus nervous system care. So bringing down your workouts and that kind of thing. And the one action to help insulin regulate is to have protein at every meal. So you always want to balance your snacks out, balance your meals out. And so if you're like, well, I love chips and salsa, and I know chips are, a lot of fat and carbs, and salsa is more carbs. And so I would say, like add a little bit of guacamole and let's like change the chip to a Quest chip, so that you're getting additional protein. Or you could, put chicken breasts, like shredded chicken or rotisserie chicken on top of your chips and make it, late July, because I know that's a healthy, way they make their chips in a good way. And then do your guacamole and salsa, and suddenly now you have a balanced plate, and you also have more balanced insulin. So now let's talk more deep about estrogen. So it's your mood and your metabolism hormone. So the symptoms you're going to get if you know or think your estrogen may be off or not quite right, is mood swings, bloating, and heavy periods. So those are all very key symptoms that something is not right with your estrogen. And a lot of times, like when women say they have this pooch or this belly bloat, it is not at all fat too. It is more water weight. And so the water weight, it adds up in our lower abs and that's kind of where it goes. So if you're that woman who is like, yeah, my lower abs are just never looking good, like I always have to wear the high waisted pants, like that then also is an indication that there may be some dysregulation with estrogen. And I would say the myth around this hormone is that estrogen is bad. Well, not really, like wrong. Low estrogen can cause problems too. So that's a lot of the problems we see in menopause is, the symptom is that they have estrogens become erratic, and it's that extroverted sister that burns fat and deals with stress. And now your body doesn't have that ability as well anymore. So then you start having a lot of issues. Also with libido, there can be quite a few, like we're going to have a whole podcast on this. So be sure to tune in for that. But today we're talking more about the hormones, but I will be talking about, how libido is affected, and it's not normal and you can fix it. So one action though for estrogen is you can eat cruciferous veggies for a gentle, detox of that estrogen. And I actually have this Budwig, it's called Budwig recipe. It's actually a physicist that kind of came up with this recipe, and it is done in a way so that it detoxes estrogen correctly. So I don't care if you're in menopause, you still want to facilitate that. But especially if you're in perimenopause or not even to that age, one great thing you can do in the morning is it's like 2 tablespoons of a clean flax oil, a quarter cup of, full fat cottage cheese, and a tablespoon of flax. And basically you're going to take that oil and the flax and you're going to use an emulsifier and you're going to blend it up together. You can add some cinnamon to this too if you would like an anti-inflammatory. But look that up. It's a Budwig, breakfast, and it basically, the way that the flax is taken into the fat with the cottage cheese helps your body to take it up in a way that it can actually absorb it into your cells, and it helps to detox some of that estrogen. And so that is, eating the cruciferous vegetables, especially that too. Now let's talk about, estrogen's our extroverted sister. Let's talk about progesterone, our introverted hormone sister. So it's your calm and your sleep hormone. So you guys all know I'm on HRT. I have a low dose estrogen patch, and I take kind of a double whammy of progesterone at night, and I love it. As soon as I take it, I get sleepy. I sleep like a baby. Like, it has helped me so much. And I still have my cycles. I'm in perimenopause, close to 50. But basically the symptoms you're going to have, and the ones that I had, was anxiety, poor sleep, and extreme PMS. So those were my exact symptoms. And I was overthinking. I would wake up like fearful of my day with lots of those ruminating thoughts. And I didn't always have this. And, it really came crashing on me when I was about 42 years young. So about 8 years ago, it was very troubling. And then PMS like 2-3 days before my period would come. And this was even going on, now that I think back, for me, my late 30s. So it could be because I had more kids, just genetics. It came on a lot longer and sooner for me. I didn't get the belly fat gain, but what I did have is extreme anxiety around people. A couple days before my period, I would just kind of freak out a little, and I could find myself not crying in front of people, but over a normal situation that my husband and I may or may not have, I would find myself irrational, crying, very emotional. And it took me a long time to even put the pieces together, but obviously that's when my progesterone was going away. And the myth though is that nothing helps PMS but birth control. Wrong. Your lifestyle absolutely impacts it. And so, during those times, I started to, put boundaries up for myself and protected my peace, because I knew that those were kind of rough days for me. I would also talk to my husband about it and say, you know what, I think I'm a couple days out from my period. Like, let's not do anything too stressful. Because I think hand in hand, yes, progesterone has helped greatly. But also having that peace, those boundaries, and knowing my body was so important. So the next and the fifth one here is that thyroid. And then we're going to talk about how they're all connected. But your thyroid is your metabolism thermostat. So if this is off, then it's going to cause symptoms like weight gain, belly fat, cold hands and feet. It could be hair thinning, hair loss, fatigue. Those are all things. And I can tell you from blood tests, my husband has a thyroid issue. He was very depressed, brain fog to a crazy degree. He's much better now, but I will tell you, it will say he has a normal blood test, meaning his levels are normal, but his biofeedback in his body actually will be very cold hands and feet, just cold in general, still some brain fog. So they haven't really fine-tuned what type of thyroid, like levothyroxine, is going to actually help your body. So he went a step further and did something called an AIP, which was an autoimmune protocol for nutrition, and it completely changed, and it actually changes blood levels even just by doing that. So food is a huge impactor on this. Another thing that he is sure to do is lifting weights to fire up your metabolism. So I'm going to talk to you ladies about that. Like, I think that's the missing link, but it is a big deal. And lifting weights also can regulate your cortisol. Like 24 hours later, it brings it down. So let's go into how they're all connected. So here's a really simple, analogy. I want you to think of your hormones like a symphony. So I love this analogy because, one instrument is on, when you hear the saxophone or when you hear the flute or when you hear the violin, it sounds very, very beautiful. But when you add in then maybe that choir, and the flute gets in tune with the violin, and then the drums are going to keep everything, on the beat, it suddenly becomes this amazing sound. And it's the same thing with the hormones. They're not disconnected. It's the patterns in life that we see in the fall, the spring, the summer, the winter. You're going to expect different things. Everything's connected. They're all important. So here's an example how stress, cortisol, messes with your insulin. So when your cortisol is off, it will then mess with your insulin, which then throws off your estrogen, progesterone, which then impacts your thyroid. So that's why it's really hard to piecemeal or to give you a medication, because it doesn't fix all of those things. Basically, healthcare has become acute care. So it can come in and it can do some dramatic changes and kind of save you when you're in an emergency situation. But what healthcare doesn't do is kind of research and figure out, like, what's the root cause of this? What is the one hormone that's causing this hormone to be off and that one? Like, where can we kind of start, and then getting these all to harmonize and optimize together? So this is why those quick fixes don't work long term. So you may see things like you're feeling better immediately, like my husband with the levothyroxine. Like, thank God for that. Like, I would never say get off of it, but he went that step deeper and did the AIP, the autoimmune protocol, and figured things out there and found out things he never would have, healed his gut, and suddenly the levels of thyroid in his body changed, and he also warmed up and felt better. So, it's really knowing how to work with your body and not against it. So here's some simple starts for busy women, okay? You don't have to do it all at once. This may be overwhelming to hear about 5 hormones in the background of what's going on. But, here is basically 5 simple action steps you can do. And we talked about this the other day, like in my belly fat challenge too, that I'm doing in my group. That protein, we're going to eat protein at every meal, right? Like some type of protein, very doable. This morning for breakfast, I had a protein bar. There was carbs, fiber, protein. Don't have to overthink that one, right? Next meal, much the same. There'll be, turkey. There's going to be a sweet potato. There's going to be some broccoli, and probably some walnuts. Like, I'm in a good place. And so protein just needs to be in there in some way, shape, or form. Make sure to give your body time to sleep for 7 to 8 hours, and that it is a cool, dark, quiet place that you can get rest. I'm all about sleep masks. I have 4 of them. I went on this sleep mask like rampage a few years back and found a silk one that I can wear, and it's nice and comfortable. It keeps me cool, because you get hot at night. And it also helps protect my forehead from smushing into the pillow and wrinkling and creating more 11. So I definitely recommend that. And also cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. You can do, it doesn't have to be kale, and it doesn't have to just be broccoli or cauliflower. Like, do a little research to figure out what is a cruciferous vegetable that you can add in to your day. Start the bud wig thing. Like every morning I'm having that. Like I'm on that kick right now. Feels good. Get sunlight in your eyes as soon as you wake up, get that going. Move your body, set boundaries, say no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, that doesn't work for me right now. Realize that things are not the same every day, that they're different in your body, in your hormones, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say no. It's okay to admit that, this isn't something you're going to work on right now. And then be sure to lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. Super important. 2 times a week, like do an upper body and a lower body. Just get that in so that you are regulating your cortisol, you're helping your thyroid, and you're getting all of these cohesive. So I just want to encourage you, if you're feeling like, man, I'm just broken, like here I come through perimenopause, menopause, and just crazy. It's not you're broken or, oh my God, like now what? I've tried every diet, nothing gets this belly fat off. Give yourself some time and redo your expectations. Like, it took some time for things to become dysregulated. It's going to take some time to get your hormones in balance, optimize, and, they're just asking you to support them. Your body is talking to you. If you have belly fat, it's a symptom. If you have anxiety, it's a symptom. There's all of these things that your hormones saying things aren't quite right. So just take a little time and then shift your expectations. Losing 7 pounds in a month is not right. It's not okay. Getting, into your belly fat, like, and having it gone in 2, 3 weeks of starvation seems like the answer sometimes, but or really like getting into that cardio, but it's really just going to work against you. So if you slowly change some of these consistent patterns, your hormones will respond. So if you'd like my free guide, like I have the belly fat blaster guide that I gave you all. So make sure that you DM me the word balance on Instagram or, on Facebook, and I'll send it. And I can't wait for next week's episode. So I'd love to, give you a little, yeah, in like a little sneak peek, if you will. So we're going to talk about menopause metabolism, why it slows down, and how to fire it back up. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be unreal, amazing, and I'm going to have lots of great tips for you to take away from it. So don't despair, and thanks so much for tuning in. And just like I said, I love DMs. I love to get to know you all. If you're listening to this, I want to know you. I want to know what your questions are, what your struggles are. If I can help, I'm here. Thanks.